Our attention to the NASCAR Nationwide Series now, where their championship fight took another twist of plot last Saturday in Phoenix.
Start of the second and final NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. Of course, all eyes have been on you all season long. You and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you led the points after 26 races. It took a turn last week. What is your mindset now as you trail Ricky?
Well, it's to go out and do everything we can do, and my team has brought a really good race car, and we prepared like we do every week, and that's to come to the racetrack, try to win the race, run up front, and, you know, that's all we can do. And, you know, we're looking forward to the challenge this weekend. You know, I put our team in a hole last weekend, and we don't want to be in this position 20 points back, but anything can happen. It's a 300-mile race, and we just want to be there. And Ricky fumbles the ball, we want to be able to pick it up.
You've been in this situation last year and now this time again, wanting to win your first ever NASCAR championship. What has this week been like for you, knowing you're not completely out and there is a chance you still can seal the deal?
Well, we're in the second best position of anybody, and we're there, and we definitely want to win the championship. That's been our goal ever since the the first week we went to Daytona, and we've had a great season. We've won a bunch of races, won a bunch of poles, been in the points lead a lot of the season, and we got one race left to finish it off. So, you know, we're going to put our best foot forward. Go out here, tune on the car right now. It was really fast the first practice, and go out there and race hard and see where it takes us.
Never give up. They're going for broke, and he's chasing the man who's standing by with Vince Welch.
That's right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with a 20-point advantage coming into this final race here at Homestead. Just got out of the Cup car and pulling double duty. A lot of people would think, well, why pull double duty on a weekend like this? But I know you just love to race. But any advantage or distraction being in both cars this weekend as you get ready?
I think it's an advantage. I think anytime you get in a Cup car, it makes the Nationwide car seem a little slower with less horsepower. But, you know, we're comfortable in our Black Angus Beef Mustang. We're going to go out here, run a lot of laps. We only made a couple there in first practice, but the fifth, third fusion needs to be a little bit better on the other side, but our main focus this weekend is this Nationwide car. We've been great all year. This is one of my favorite racetracks. We just got to go out and do our job, and I think we can secure this thing tomorrow. But these guys have been working hard all year. It's been a lot of fun. We got one more to go.
Similar situation to last year. Last year, he had a little bigger lead coming into the final race, a 41-point advantage, I believe. Today, it's a 20-point lead. What do you draw on from your experience last year that you believe is going to make the difference for you tomorrow?
You know, what we drew from last year is we finished second, leading a lot of laps, and I know if we go out and win the race or finish second, it's all handled. So hopefully we can learn a little bit of what we did last year and apply it, and then hopefully win, and everything will take care of itself.
He's greedy. He wants to win the race and the championship, Marty.
Vince, you're absolutely right. Take a look at the championship standings. It is basically a two-horse race. Don't count Austin Dillon completely out, but he needs both Ricky and Elliott to have problems to have a chance at the title. And you heard Ricky Stenhouse Jr. talking about, well, finished second, led a lot of laps. You know what kind of driver he is if you followed the series as we come topside. Hello again, everybody. Andy and DJ haven't switched, just Alan and me. Glad that you're sticking with us after Cup practice. Elliott Sadler dug a hole. Now what does he do? How do you what's the mindset? What do you do for here to try and get back into this and win this thing?
Yeah, the only way that you can really apply any pressure, and that's what you have to do, is by being fast and go out and show that you've got a fast race car, lead the most laps if you can, and try to win this race and give yourself the best opportunity you possibly can. And that's all that Elliott's thinking about as he comes here.
Yeah, and they've just got to execute well. They haven't done that lately, and that's what they have to do here. They've got to go out here and execute, no mistakes. Like Elliott said, he made a mistake last week that cost him a lot of points. This week, they can't afford any mistakes. They've just got to do everything they can and see what they can do and try to make max point.
Let's talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because anybody who has followed the series, Ricky's always on the gas. I saw him before or right after first practice, before second practice, and I said, are you going to tune it back at all? He goes, no, that's not my style. Could that get him into trouble?
I think it could, but I really think that trying to dial it back a little bit, that's definitely not his style, and I think he would find himself getting in more trouble that way. And I look for him. This is a wide racetrack, and you can kind of get yourself where you want to be in a safe position, but look for him to drive hard. That's what he does. That's why he is a champion from last year and is in this position again.
Yeah, anything you do different than what's got you here, it's going to have you on your heels. You're not going to this team does not know how to race conservatively, so they just go out there and do what they normally do. They're going to be right up front, probably have a chance to win the race, and then they won't have to share any of the celebrating time with somebody else.
All right, while we've got a moment before the cars take to the track, let's give you an idea what's coming up on the motorsports calendar, because our race, the Ford EcoBoost 300 from Homestead-Miami Speedway, right here tomorrow, 4 Eastern on ESPN. And then, of course, the finale for the Sprint Cup Series Championship, the Ford EcoBoost 400, 1:30 Eastern on ESPN as well. So as the crews are buttoning things up over in the Cup side and getting ready for nationwide practice, we'll step aside for just a few quick moments. By the time we come back, we'll be ready to put cars back out on the racetrack. Stay with us.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Final Practice is brought to you by City Price Rewind. Buy now, save later. And DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
It's a beautiful day in South Florida over on the ocean. You can see a lot of folks that are on break, taking some time in the sun, having some fun. Over a little inland at Homestead-Miami Speedway, that's our little tiny beach on the lake that's on the inside of the racetrack. And this is a guy, and that's a Jetlev. And, well, the three of us are trying to figure out how long it would take us to crash. That's pretty cool.
That thing is cool. I was over there talking to this guy just a little bit ago before we came on the air for practice. You can go out there and actually do that. I think they're renting rides. They're teaching people how to do this. Pretty cool.
Would you do it, Andy?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to get video because I want to see this.
Yeah, they do that too. They have a guy that rides around and takes a video.
Yeah. You notice how quiet DJ was through that whole
how about
thing?
you, Dale?
No, I have no desire to. Looks cool. Yeah.
All right, still waiting for the green flag to open up this final practice session for the NASCAR Nationwide Series season finale. There's the points leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in their hauler after that first practice. I mean, you talk about a group that is so laid back and comfortable right now with their position. And I looked over at Mike Kelly. I said, "Are you going to try and rein him in?" And all he goes, "It wouldn't do any good if I did, so no." Ricky, of course, doing double duty this weekend, 32nd in Cup practice. He'll expect to do a lot more to improve that over here, of course. And as the cars come out onto the track, there is Elliott Sadler, who has a ton of pressure on him right now. 25 weeks he led the points. Finds himself now in a position where he has to go out and try and score maximum points. And there you see the 4 top 3 finishes in the last 28 races.
Both of these guys only ran, Elliott only ran 2 laps in the first practice session, and Ricky just ran 3, so it looks like they were saving it up for this practice.
Yeah, and in fact, Ricky did say, he said, you know, we just wanted to make sure the car was okay. We know this is when we're going to be racing. We didn't want to wear it out. Again, the tire limitation, DJ.
Yeah, they've got that issue, and now that they've had the Cup practice, there's more rubber down on the racetrack, so it's going to be a little bit different, but it is getting much closer to what they'll encounter as far as race time tomorrow, and much better judge of what your car may do.
And as we expected, we saw it in Cup practice. As the practice went on, guys kept going higher and higher on the race line.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the first practice, you would think, well, why would they even go out if they're just going to run a couple of laps? But if you have a problem, some kind of unknown thing, you want some time to work on it. But you are focused on this practice only.
Luke Lambert on the right, the man who will call the shots for Elliott. The one thing this does set up, you know, everybody was sort of being a little critical of Luke about being conservative down the stretch. There's no reason to be conservative now. He's got to pull out all the stops.
You know, back to that guy that we were praising earlier in the year as far as making those calls and getting them in positions, and they know that, you know, it's a long shot, but they also are very aware that anything can happen. Mark, you were talking about running up against the wall. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that, and anytime you get there, all it takes is just a little bit of a slip, and we talk about how hard Ricky Stenhouse goes at it, then you know, he may open the door, and that's all that you're looking for when you're in a position 20 points behind, 1 race to go.
Ricky, of course, won at Kansas after coming back from 2 laps down. Still, in my mind, I think pretty much everybody's mind, the true turning point in this year's championship race. In fact, Jimmy Hicks, our statistician, did the numbers for me. Had they pinned him down and kept him 2 laps down and everything else stays the same, Ricky Stenhouse would only have a 4-point lead right now instead of 20, and that would change the entire complexion.
Yeah, that was a turning point for both teams. Really, for this team, the job they did to get back those couple of laps with a damaged race car, go out there and win the race. I mean, that's a true sign of a champion. The other side of the coin is, I mean, the two bunch had a chance, an opportunity to keep him down, and they didn't take it. And I think now that they're probably regretting that. But you can't race in the mirror. You got to race out the windshield.
Vince, you got more on the 6 car?
Well, and as it relates to that huge victory at Kansas, this is the same car that Ricky drove in that race at Kansas. It is one of their favorites. In fact, it was Matt Kenseth's favorite car last year on the Cup side. They gave it to the Nationwide program, turned it into a Nationwide car, and it has been bad fast both times they've been out in it. Certainly loved it at Kansas, and they expect more of the same. Mike Kelly had a smile on his face when he was talking about that car today.
Well, you can see Ricky sort of climbing up, getting closer to the wall as he promised. And here's what Ricky has to do to clinch the championship. 16th or better, doesn't matter what Elliott does. He could go out and score maximum points. Now, if Ricky leads 1 lap, 17th or better. If he leads the most laps, it's 18th or better. And, you know, obviously that's the mind game that now Ricky is playing on Elliott. Elliott has to deal with. You've been in those positions. How do you handle when you're on both sides of that coin?
Well, you can't go out here trying just to run 16th. You get yourself in a lot of trouble. You have to, they've had speed in this race car, and this driver knows how to go fast, and you want to continue kind of in that mode. And I think that in this series, as we talk about doing that, much easier done just to be able to run in that, because let's face it, the competition level just doesn't go back that far. So they're very capable of having an off day, still running in the top 10, really, certainly the top 15.
Yeah, but you can get in trouble here. This place can reach out and bite you.
Let's go back to last year. I mean, we saw some incidents last year. Ricky Stenhouse on his way to the championship, and you could just brush that wall oh so gently. Now, the only benefit is that if you're up on that wall, at least you're not slamming it.
Yeah, and the way we've seen Stenhouse, he's able to hit it a lot harder than that and go on and win.
Go on and win. All right, this is something that we're digging up also. Take a look at this. The number of starts, the percentage of times that they have crashed. Now, the thing you have to really remember, when the first year Ricky Stenhouse was in this car, 14 crashes. Jack Rouse sat him down for a while at Nashville, took him out of the car. So almost half of those crashes happened in the first year. And since then, it's gotten a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, he's gotten pretty good since that time. It's, you take that out of there, that percentage goes way down. So, I like his chances, and I had some time to talk with Ricky yesterday, and he's very confident, and this is a confident young man, and you like to see that. But he really believes that he goes out here and does his job, then everything will be just fine.
And is one of those crashes in that the one where he won a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it's not necessarily where
so
he
it's not a bad thing all the time.
It's not. He didn't DNF in all those, but yes, it's where he's had contact in one shape, form, or another. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his swan song tomorrow in the Nationwide Series, because he's going Cup racing next year, and he's looking for back-to-back championships. Riding along with Austin Dillon here at the 1.5-mile Homestead-Miami Speedway. Progressive banking. You can see his fast lap versus his last lap, which happened to be his fastest lap. And let's get an update on this number 3 car with an outside chance at the championship, Jamie Little.
Well, he sure does have an outside chance, and he knows it. Yesterday, having fun in the press conference for the champions, he said, I hope it gets nasty on Saturday. I hope the 2 leaders, the 2 and the 6, door slam each other going into 4, and then I clear through the smoke and win the championship. So it's all in good fun, but they do feel like they do have that outside chance. 25 points back, and right now, as far as his car is concerned, he's just been really tight, of course, on those old tires from the first session this morning.
Well, and something that may play into Austin Dillon's hands, and Elliott Sadler, for that matter, is the number of cars that average finishing on the lead lap here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And you see right now, he is running 8th. Now, here's the last 5 years and what we're talking about. And these are guys that are all on the lead lap. And so that could come into play. You get a lap down, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you just think that's why you can't say, people that say, oh, this is over, you can't make that up. All it takes is a flat tire or just getting out of shape, getting into the wall like we saw Stenhouse do there last year. You do that at the end of the race where you really have to slow things down. There's no cautions. Then you end up back there in 20th or 22nd. all of a sudden you've lost every bit of that lead, and that brings a lot into play here. But, Austin knows that what he's got to go do is try to lead the most laps and win the race to give himself a chance. And, it'd be a great opportunity there, a great victory if he's able to do it. He's had an outstanding season.
Yeah, the worst news he's going to get is he's a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I can guarantee you that. Out on the track right now, the number 20 car of Ryan Truex, as he's in this car this week. And Ryan doesn't have anything really solid for next year. They thought they had a deal, and then all of a sudden it faded away.
Yeah, that surprises me. He's got a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of talent. He's in great cars, when he's in great cars like these Gibbs cars, he just really does perform. Up there with the best of them. I'm real surprised he doesn't have a full-time ride.
DJ, his best was back at Dover, where he came in second.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to win the race. He did a terrific job. That probably looks like his best racetrack so far that we've seen him race on, but he's just very solid, as Andy pointed out, every time he gets in these. Got in a little trouble with traffic right here. Didn't get much of a break there.
Kicked a nice field goal.
Yeah, he did that, but had to get out of the gas, and that allowed his teammate to come by.
Yeah, Joey Logano kicked the extra point.
And it was Logano, one of Joey's 9 wins this year, and there's Ryan just saying, oh, what might have been.
Yeah, that was a tough loss, but he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's just got to get a full-time ride.
Yeah, you want to see that opportunity come to him too, and get that. And I know all of these young drivers out here are looking for that chance, but that's what makes this sport so difficult, to get your foot in the door and be able to stay there and show what you have, the talent that you have.
Truex running 7th right now. Everybody is following Elliott Sadler. He is fastest on the track. Checking in now with Brian Scott in what appears to be his last ride in this car, as he'll be switching teams next year. 13th on the board.
It's a driver and team that's shown speed a lot, especially on these mile-and-a-half racetracks this year. But, boy, they sure have had a lot of bad luck and unfortunate things happen to them throughout the year not to get better finishes.
He finished his best of the year back at Dover also, that first race at Dover, when he came in 3rd right behind Truex. He finished 8th last week at Phoenix, but like you said, they've shown moments, but they haven't been able to put it all together, Andy.
Yeah, it's one thing to have speed and performance and all those things, but it takes, you really got to put all that together to get finishes, because that's really what it takes to sustain your career. And that's something that Brian Scott has to do. He just got to get those finishes.
Backs out of it there. Yeah, he's only had the 2 top 5s this season in that number 11 car. So as he comes into pit road, we'll take a look at the 7 car of Danica Patrick. And boy, has this team made a turnaround since Ryan Pemberton came on board as crew chief. There gives you some of the numbers. The last 6 races with Ryan calling the shots. No DNFs.
This team going in the right direction for sure, performance-wise, and I think Danica has come a long way too. Last week, at the last restart, she went out there and passed a lot of cars. She was, I think, 14th, and went back to a green-white checker, finished 10th, and she was actually inside Brad Keselowski as they came through turns 3 and 4, and actually was in front of him, and Keselowski able to just beat her to the line. But she's improved her restart. She's improved in all statistics to me this year.
2 top 10s in her last 3 races.
Yeah, I've seen a big improvement and a confidence now of being able to race and make solid competitive passes on good race cars against good race drivers. And that's the mark of seeing someone really getting much better. And she's getting cars that she can drive now. And sometimes it just takes a change. It wasn't that Tony Jr. wasn't getting the job done there. It's just sometimes you need a change in the way that you think as a driver and the information that you give, and someone may understand that a little bit better and make your car better. So it's been a good solid change for this organization, and in particular for Danica.
Yeah, it's been a philosophy shift over there too. They're using and incorporating more of the engineering help from Hendrick, and I think that's really helping this team, and along with the leadership with Pemberton, because I think Ryan's he's got so much experience and respect and a people person, a great people person. I think he's helped uplift that whole organization.
She's 11th on the board right now. Everybody is chasing Elliott Sadler. His best to lap was his first at 32.7 seconds. Danica, well, in that 11th spot, she's a 33.06. His car in the garage area on the right. Left side, Elliott Sadler is back out on the track. Right behind Elliott, who is quickest, is Cole Witt, who is doing a great job here. And Sam Hornish Jr., third on the list. There's the rest of the chart with Joey Logano looking for victory number 10 on the year. Kyle Busch looking for victory number 1 this year in his own car. There's Ricky, Truex, Dillon, Allgaier, and Kenny Wallace. All right, so the 2 cars back out on track. Let's get an update from Jamie Little.
Well, he's still P1 on the board, and he's been in and out of his garage twice, but he's not too thrilled.
Yeah, I don't like the feel of the car at all here. These first 2 runs, I think we've gone too far here for what we've talked about.
I think somebody forgot to tell him that he's P1 right now, so they're looking pretty good. He said he feels like the balance is getting a little bit better, but they just kind of got too far out of that box to start.
Yeah, Jamie, you know those cranky drivers. How about it, DJ?
Right. Yep.
Can't ever make them happy.
Yeah. Seldom is true, but that's a race driver knowing what he's looking for in his car. You know, they might have some speed there, but it was a situation that Elliott knew that wasn't going to be something that was going to be good enough to win him the race.
Well, one thing that may help the 2 car is there's actually 4 RCR cars out here that could steal a few points away from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. There they are.
Yep, and that's their plan, is all of those to finish in front of that 6 car. And a lot more of their buddies, too.
And based on qualifying, could you potentially see 2 of them trying to gang up and surround that 6 car, make it a little more difficult on pit road?
Well, they might do that. I don't foresee anything on the racetrack between all of that. But, yeah, that's not saying that they wouldn't do something as far as pit selections go to make life a little more interesting.
Yeah, you got to use everything to your advantage.
Boy, if they could sandwich, can you imagine how tight that box would look?
Yeah, Ricky'd have to do his best parallel parking jobs.
Well, doesn't Ford have one of those automatic deals that back in?
Yeah, I wonder if he's got that.
Hands off the wheel and do it on its own. There's Austin Dillon.
I tell you, Austin just had an incredible season to me. Coming in here as a rookie, and he's finished every single lap except one.
But one.
And he's done it running so competitively and winning races and doing. I don't know that I've ever seen a rookie come into this series or any of the top 3 series and run like he has. He just got a tremendous amount of talent and a bright future.
26 top 10 finishes, most ever by a rookie.
Yeah, it has been phenomenal to watch him. And, yeah, sure, he's in good equipment, but, you know, there's a lot of people in good equipment. And there's been a lot of people come through this series in good equipment, but that haven't done the things that this young man has done. Just very impressive. As I was sitting in the press conference yesterday, watched the Truck Series part of it with his brother Ty there. And then you see Austin, and I was thinking, you know, everybody talks about Richard, you know, about their grandfather, but how proud must their dad, Mike Dillon, be of these boys that, you know, they've worked hard to get here. You know, they've worked on their cars, they've run on dirt tracks and everything, and here they are with a chance to win their 2 respective championships.
Yeah, you talk about being in good equipment, and they are, like you said, they got great cars, and Childress has got some of the best Nationwide cars out there. But I remember Jeff Gordon winning a lot of races in his early part of his career. People kept saying that it was all the car, it's all the car. And I remember Jeff saying that he was at a function and somebody said something like that, and he said, well, yeah, I do have great cars. I have great crew chief, got great cars. He said, but when I drive off into that corner and I look over there, I'm the only one in there. So you got to be able to get the job done.
Well, going back to Austin, you know, when they finishing on the lead lap and except 1 lap, it's only been done 2 other times. Brad Keselowski, 2010, Kevin Harvick, 2006. Finishing on the lead lap every single time except 1 time.
Those guys are pretty good.
They're pretty good.
So that's pretty good company. I like.
Checking in on Kyle Busch. Kyle looking for that all-elusive win to keep that streak alive. He wants to get at least 1 win in 9 straight seasons. It would tie him with Mark Martin. It's one of the few records he does not hold in this series. There's the numbers. Vince, you've got more?
Well, Marty, this is a place that Kyle Busch has been to victory lane. In fact, he's won here at Homestead Speedway twice before. He has won more races on 1.5-mile tracks than any other drivers, but he's never won in his own equipment. And boy, that team really wants to get Kyle to victory lane this weekend. Car started off a little bit tight. Says it's just too rough over the bumps right now. Feels like going over a series of washboards, and that's upsetting the car. So they made a rear shock change, and they're trying to get that car a little more comfortable for Kyle Busch. Still pretty quick, 5th on the speed chart.
And he has had heartbreak twice this year, guys. I mean, where he was passed on the lead lap, or the last lap of the race. In fact, here's what happened at Kansas. Ran out of fuel, and Ricky Stenhouse seals the deal after coming back from 2 laps down, and Kyle just could do nothing but watch.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. He had the performance and everything going his way, just not enough gas.
Yeah, this team's come a long way this year. Have they come far enough to get that win here? We'll see.
He's 5th quickest right now, heading back to the garage to make another adjustment. They're all still chasing Elliott Sadler. Not too far away is the Miami Zoo, and yes, that is a true alligator, an old scarlet macaw, and Marcus Ambrose would be proud of the kangaroo at the zoo. Cute little fella. And of course, back at the track, we're looking at Austin Dillon's sponsor, the Bass Pro Shops, on the number 3, as they're back in the garage area right now. Dillon shown 8th quickest, his best lap at 32.95 seconds. That's 163 and change. Danica Patrick is back out there, and as is the 18 of Joey Logano. Logano running 4th quickest right now. Danica 11th. It looks like Danica's going to peel off. How about Joey? I mean, this guy has had just an incredible year, and he hasn't even run the full schedule with 9 wins.
Yeah, very possibly going to get that 10th one, and what a winning percentage that he has. You know, he's done it in a lot of ways. They've had the fastest car quite a bit, and then on other days when they didn't, they were able to still get the victory lane.
That 9 out of 21 starts, and he only has 18, well, not only, but he has 18 career wins. Half of them come this year.
Yeah, but you can see those Gibbs cars have been good more than a couple of years.
Yeah, they have always been good here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And of course, word has been confirmed. We told you about it last week. Brian Vickers will be in the 20 car next year. They'll have Dollar General on the side panel. Joey continues in that 4th spot. His best lap at 164 miles an hour, 32.83. How about Kenny Wallace? Saw Kenny between the 1st and 2nd practice. Said, yeah, I'm going to be doing some racing next year. Still looking for a few more sponsor dollars to crank up the program. But he said, you guys aren't going to get rid of me yet.
He's had a great career in this series. Glad to hear he's coming back. 535 starts for Kenny Wallace.
Yeah. That was
9 wins.
Now he's running the low line, right? Well, he's coming in too. That'd be a good reason for running down low.
Nothing gets by you, Marty.
Hey, I'm master of the oblivious.
Uh-oh, got a problem here.
That's not good. 38 of Brad Sweet, but he does keep it off the wall.
Both right sides are flat here. Do not turn above, get it back.
Looks like we got a little issue there in the rear suspension. Looks
Well,
like the
No
rear end
contact. I heard him say that.
was
Be careful here, getting in.
maybe, I don't know if he hit anything or not. Oh, baby. Lucky he didn't hit anything.
Yeah, that was headed right for the end of that pit road wall there.
Let's go on board with Austin Dillon. Here's his view.
So 38 spinning here. Just watching. Still at the bottom. There you go. Just slow down. Options out. Come on.
He's saying just watch him. You can't see anything because of the smoke.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling as a driver right there.
Got a few flat tires.
Well, he makes his way back in. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Well, a bit of an issue for the 6 car right now. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. walking over to it and taking a look. Ricky, I know the last thing you wanted at this point in the game was a problem, and that's exactly what you've got. What's happening here?
We got a leak in the right front tire. And you can go get a new tire, but it doesn't really do anything when you have a new right front tire and 3 old ones. But it'll be all right. Our Cargill Beef Mustang is about how we want to end practice, you know, to start the race anyway. We were just going to do a couple race adjustments, you know, some spring rubbers and things like that. So we're happy with the car, so it's not too big of an issue.
You're smiling, but do you think the last thing at this point you guys want to have to deal with is something along this line? I know it's got to make Mike a little nervous.
Oh, no, he's fine. We're all good. Well, look, guys, we got less laps on the motor, so it should be good tomorrow.
There you go. Always the optimist, Ricky Stenhouse. Marty.
Well, and there is a statistic that Mike, Kelly, and Ricky don't want to see. There has been twice this year when Ricky has lost 21 points or more in a single race. It happened in Charlotte in May, Dover in June.
Yeah, you think of that. It's not a big deal. They have a little leak in a tire. They can get another new tire put right on it and go back out and practice. But it really does. You can't do that because it's going to change the way the car drives with that new right front and the other 3 being old and having laps on them. So you want to put another set of tires. We can't do that either because you got to use those in the race. So they're just kind of handcuffed.
Let's go back and show you what happened to Ricky back at Charlotte. As you saw the part come off of the car back at the May race. Found themselves back in the garage area losing a bundle of points. Then in Dover.
Yeah, right here. Got loose coming out of turn 2 down to the inside wall.
Then at Kentucky, he lost about 17 points there as the pit road incident. And then came back and spanked the wall.
And that kind of led to this.
So it can happen. This is far from being over. You don't want to miss tomorrow's race to see who is going to win this championship. Yes, the 6 car has the advantage, but as we have pointed out oh so many times, that's why we run the race. Yeah, don't bring up the Miami Marlins right now in South Florida. No. That is not a good subject down here after all the trading they've been doing. How about the 88 and the 43 out on the track? Cole Witt having himself a pretty good practice session right now. Gets around Michael Annett. Cole's second on the speed chart. And of course, Michael Annett in that tough battle with Justin Allgaier for the 5th and final spot on the stage Monday night at the banquet ceremony. By 7 points, these guys are separated.
Yeah, Michael Annett's had a really solid year. The race team that literally was put together in the latter stages of January, they've just been really, really good. I mean, a lot of top 10 finishes, and been fun to watch him progress as a driver.
Well, he had top 10 finishes in 17 races this season after entering this year with only 13 top 10 finishes in 105 prior starts. That gives you an idea just how good a year he's had. That'll be another one of those battles we'll keep eyes on tomorrow, because Justin Allgaier obviously wants to try and take that 5th and final spot away. Cole Witt, still no word yet on where he's going to be racing next year. They're still trying to put the money together so they can keep him in this 88 car.
Yeah, 7 of the last 10 races, though, and Nett's finished ahead of Allgaier.
Let's check in with Jamie Little.
And the 2 of Elliott Sadler, he has climbed from his race car. And I find it interesting. You see here, he's talking to his old crew chief, Ernie Cope. Of course, Ernie Cope is on the 33 car. But Elliott has 3 teammates in this stable in this race. But he wants to go talk to the crew chief to try to get help to make his car better. And I just asked Elliott, you know, what is the problem? And he said, well, we've got 2 problems. We're too tight on entry and too loose on exit. So they're making some wholesale changes over here to the 2 car.
I'm still having difficulty figuring out how bad that car can really be. His last lap was a 33.38. And
yeah, it's still not doing what he wants it to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of perfect scenario to run a fast lap. If you've got a car that's tight into the corner, you can drive it in there, not worrying about it spinning out, but then it's free enough on exit. When the tires will hold the car right there, you can make a fast lap. But how many laps can you put together? And Elliott and Ernie Cope have had a great relationship over there, and Ernie's very good. He's kind of the centerpiece of that entire organization on the Nationwide side, and so I mean, it's not the first time that they've talked, and I think he's probably just bouncing ideas off as to, okay, if you had this situation, what would you be looking at? And then he and Luke will discuss that and see if that's something they can do. But I would say if he can fix that entry, it will probably help that exit.
That's one of the strong suits, I think, of this whole RCR nationwide program, is that they all do work very, very close together. And they, just like I said, Ernie's got some strengths, so does Luke. They all use this information and make the whole organization better. And I think that's why they're in the position they are to race for a championship.
And we've seen that in the hauler. I mean, we've been there present when they've been swapping notes. Checking in on Joey Coulter, the 4th car. Of course, Joey, a fixture in the Truck Series this year, and that final race will be tonight here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. There you see his best lap, 19th quickest on the board. He did run Charlotte the first time we were there. He finished 10th. That was his only other start in the Nationwide Series, and right in front of him there is Ryan Blaney.
Well, we talk about impressive young drivers. That Ryan Blaney's another one of those that's just done an outstanding job in this 22 car.
Yeah, he's a rising star for sure.
Finished second, a career best back at Texas. What do you got for us, Jamie?
It is really impressive what he's been able to do this year. In 12 starts, he's had 6 top 10 finishes. Now, here's another driver who doesn't know what the future holds for him. So what better way than just to go out and win the race, right? Well, remember, just a year ago, Brad Keselowski, who's looking to win his first title on the Cup side, won from the pole with this team. So we'll see what Ryan Blaney can do this weekend.
Well, and Jamie, I know you were working on the Cup side, and I was in the news conference that Roger Penske held earlier this afternoon, and he did say that they are planning an unannounced truck program for Ryan, and then also a limited schedule in the Nationwide Series. So we're going to see him still developing through the Penske Motorsport system.
Did you say unannounced? Did you
well, he said he didn't have all the details. He said
okay.
we're going to put this together. The other thing I can tell you is Sam Hornish is under contract now for. He confirmed that today also.
Good to hear.
And Sam will be in the 12 car full time with some additional Sprint Cup rides next year as well.
That is good to hear.
Check in on another one of the RCR cars. How about Brendan Gaughan? He'll be driving the 33 this weekend. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, the 4 RCR cars trying to gang up on the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Here's a guy who has firsthand experience about getting ganged up on back in 2003 in the Truck Series at this very track. Final race of the year, going for a championship. And literally got taken out by a car or truck that was added by the team that was running with Ted Musgrave. And Jimmy Smith was the team owner. And there's the spin, gets into the 62. Brendan goes hard into the wall. It ended his championship hopes. He felt it was deliberate and ended up being the championship going another direction. Anything can and usually does happen in these events. So Brendan's going to bring it back into pit road. He is running 14th on the speed charts right now. And there it is. You can see the years that they have done this. And anytime you can work Sam Ard into the broadcast, it's a good day in racing.
Got that right.
Now, you might be wondering where the number 6 is. Well, they're parked. That's Ricky behind the monitor there in the black hat. And I think Jamie Little, or no, Vince, he's got the details on why they're not going to go back out.
Well, we talked earlier, and you heard Ricky mention that they had a punctured right front. They did not want to put a new tire on the right front when they had 3 other tires with 15 laps on them. So obviously keeping as many fresh sets as possible for the race tomorrow. So they decided, since the car was pretty close, they would be done for the day. So Ricky still keeping an eye on the competition, though, from high atop the hauler. And Mike Kelly, his crew chief, is up there as well. And a lot of speculation about with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. going to the Cup Series full-time next year, that Mike Kelly would follow and be his crew chief there, especially with the recent announcement announcements that Jimmy Finnick was moving over to Carl Edwards. I had a talk with Mike Kelly about that today. Mike said that opportunity was offered to him. Initially, he accepted it, but then upon further thought, Mike went back to Jack Roush and told him he didn't think that would be in the best interest of everyone. And Mike, as a father of 2 children, thought that in the big picture of where he was and his responsibilities as a dad and what Ricky needed from a veteran leadership perspective as a crew chief on the Sprint Cup side, that it would be best if Ricky went with Scott Graves and Mike Kelly stayed in the Nationwide Series and worked full-time next year with Trevor Bayne. So that's how that came down, and Mike said he's completely happy with his decision.
Great update, Vince. Psychologically, though, are you stressing just a little bit on not being able to do a mock qualifying run here?
Nah, he does a good job qualifying. They know what they need. He doesn't look to me like he's in the least bit of stress. And having that point lead, knowing his car is going to run good no matter what, I think he's fine.
Well, here's one thing to think about. 7 of the 9 races here at Homestead under this current configuration were won from a top 5 starting position, including 4 of the last 7 that were won from the front row. And that's why Elliott Sadler wants to be up there, because he has to win this race. Jamie, what's the latest you're hearing on the 2?
Well, as I reported earlier, they took a big swing at it on this 2 car to help things on the entry and exit. Elliott, you could see him talking with his hands there, explaining. He's saying basically, we need more of that. You guys put a dent in it. We feel better. We feel like we're going in the right direction, but I still need more help on entry. Now, they won't do a mock qualifying run either. They want to save those tires and just get as many laps under their belt and feel the best about their car at the end here.
All right, Jamie, as you can see, Luke Lambert leaning in, trading notes, trying to figure out what exactly they want to do to make this thing as perfect as possible.
Yeah, and a lot of people might be thinking, well, with that 6 bunch finished up on the truck, and with that, what might that do to this bunch, the 2 bunch? And if they see that, they're really not concerned about that. All they can do is focus on their job in making this car as good as they can for Elliott Sadler. So no really mind games going on there. They just have to get the job done and make this car where it can lead a lot of laps and win.
Yeah, what I've seen is a ton of focus by this team trying to get the car better. I bet they haven't even noticed that the 6 car's not out there practicing.
So they continue to work. Let's go back out on the track. Whoa, that 5 car's got a little nose happy.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh on those over those bumps.
Regan Smith, of course, Regan is going to be in the Nationwide Series full-time next year, driving for Hendrick Motorsports. And as he comes in, let's check in with Jamie Little. She's got more.
Well, it's a lot of adjusting here for Regan Smith. For himself personally, he hasn't been in a Nationwide car at all since Daytona 2007. So he said getting back in this car has been tough. And on top of that, he's doing double duty this weekend, running in both series. All right, so right now, Rex Stump is listed as the crew chief, but I spoke with him this morning, and he said the actual crew chief of this car for the race tomorrow is Steve Letarte. Yes, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief on the Cup side, doing double duty this weekend, working with Regan Smith. Of course, they worked together 2 Cup races this year. He knows Regan, and they're all about working on next year's setup. So a lot of help going into this 5 effort as Regan Smith will pilot it full-time next year.
Yeah, what does that tell you? It tells you that Hendrick is getting very involved in this team and helping them elevate performance. You got Steve Letarte going to sit on the box, Rex Stump, one of the main engineers over there, working with the team. That's probably why we've seen a little turnaround in their performance.
I think it's a big reason
why.
Yeah,
it is a big reason. And a big turnaround.
Out on track right now, checking in with Austin Dillon. Oh, Austin has gone to the top of the charts, 165 miles an hour, a 32.72. Bumps Elliott Sadler.
He said, don't forget about me. I'm only 25 back.
I'm trying to see, was he taped up there? Was he going for a mock run? Or is that? I don't know. I see just that one little piece of tape there. What do you think there, crew chief?
Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Get a good look at that. You see the little stickers on the front. That kind of denotes which run this is. If they're taking pictures of the car, attitude-wise or anything, you can see all of those little dots, and you know which run it is to go back and compare to.
Last lap was 32.95, so not a lot of fall off.
No, I believe this is maybe some race runs, though, that they did. They just put on a set of tires. They'd worked on their car and got it to where they felt like that they were ready to see if they had this car ready to start the race.
And that's one thing we should point out. Rookies get one extra set of tires, which they have to turn back in at the end of practice, so you might as well use them.
Yeah, he has to start with the same number of tires tomorrow as everyone else, but he has that extra set that allows them to do this versus someone like Elliott Sadler and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, and he better take advantage of it this week.
That's right.
Last
No
chance.
more.
Elliott Sadler right out in front of Austin. His last lap a 33.16 at 162.8.
And if we stay on this very long, we'll see that probably that 3 car will be running him down at a pretty good rate.
Well, that last lap, Austin was a 10th quicker. And if you pull back, there they are, both in the same shot. And right now, they're running 1-2. Austin Dillon quickest, and Elliott Sadler second. Want to remind you, our NASCAR Nationwide Series finale, the Ford EcoBoost 300, tomorrow, 4 Eastern over on ESPN. And the final Sprint Cup race, the champion will be crowned at the Ford EcoBoost 400 Sunday on ESPN. And our coverage there starts at 1:30 with NASCAR Countdown. Beautiful views of Miami and the Miami Beach area. We're a little bit south of there in Homestead. The 1.5-mile oval, the progressive banking, and cars are flying around this racetrack. Our fastest is Austin Dillon at over 165 miles an hour. And there is Kyle Busch. Kyle 6th on the speed charts right now. His best lap 164.4. Vince, what are you hearing on that 54 car?
Pretty happy with it right now. They're just kind of tweaking. It's a little free entry to center, and they've made some changes, made a spring change. Kyle also suggested that they put a rubber in to have as security so they can actually take that out on Saturday if they decide they want to do that. But also right now just kind of fine-tuning with the feel for Kyle, but if anything, they'd like it to snug up just a little bit on entry to the middle.
Well, Vince, as you wrap up, one of the things we've been noticing is the race line. These guys keep pushing it ever closer to that wall.
Yeah, and usually you don't see that line move up till the race starts, but it's already right up next to the wall here in practice.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years have shown them that's where they're going to have to race most of the time. So they come here, and you can see the most rubber laid down in this upper groove by far. But that is awfully close. Much margin for error there.
You know, you heard that Kyle has won here twice before. The last time was back in November of 2010 when he was driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. As we take a look at his numbers with the 5 starts, the 2 wins, 4 top 5s, average finish of 9.6. That's pretty doggone good.
Yeah, only 1 time out of the top 5. They're not out of the gas long. They can't really get to the throttle full once these tires get some wear on them. They can't really just back off and go back full throttle. They have to kind of walk that car off the corner, pedaling that throttle.
Yeah, even with these tapered spacers that are on these engines versus the Sprint Cup cars and the less horsepower, you still, once you get laps on the tires, it's just sliding around. You can't get wide open for a while until you get the car pointed.
Justin Allgaier, our first look at him today, 9th on the speed charts, and remember he is 6th in the points, 7 behind Michael Annett. So it basically means he's got to finish 8 spots better if he wants to be on the podium and be able to speak at Monday's banquet. How about it, Vince?
Justin Allgaier's been to victory lane once this season, but it was on a road course, believe it or not. Certainly not considered to be one of his strengths, but he was the winner at Montreal. What is their strength typically has been the 1.5 miles, and he has had good success here. They're still working on it, though, in this practice session. He says that, if anything, he's maybe driving it a little bit too hard, over-driving it, but the issue he feels with the car is he just can't get it to turn the way he wants, so he's trying to match his driving style to what the car is giving him at this point right now. But they've made several changes on this 31 to try to get it a little more workable for Justin Allgaier.
Vince, as you finish up, Joey Coulter just went to the top of the speed charts. So 3 RCR cars, 1, 2, and 3. And Coulter, 165.5 miles an hour. And again, another rookie, so that extra set of tires.
Yeah, and he used his set of tires just a little differently than Austin Dillon. Austin put his on, went out there and made a race run. He pretty well knows what to expect at qualifying because they do this all the time. Coulter being new, he probably didn't know, wants to put a set of stickers on there, go see what they can do in a simulated qualifying setup.
Not only knew it that, but he wasn't going in the right garage area. He was trying to enter the Cup garage area there. So still trying to figure this all out.
There's all 4 of the RCR cars, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 15th. And there's Sam Hornish. As we mentioned just a few moments ago, Roger Penske confirmed today that Sam will be back full-time next year in the Nationwide Series in that number 12 and a limited schedule in Cup.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that he's going to get some more Cup starts because he has really shown me some things this year that he in that 22 car when he got the opportunity that he could still get it done at the top level of NASCAR, and I think he can, and I'd like to see him have more starts.
I know this is a little off topic because you guys were doing practice, but Roger also was asked to compare Brad Keselowski to anybody else that's driven for him. You know who he compared him to? Rick Mears, 4-time Indianapolis 500 winner.
Wow.
Says he has that same kind of mentality when it comes to running ovals.
Well, that's a good sign.
Whew, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
That is saying a lot. All right. Right now it is RCR, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We're going to find out, see what happens. It looks like Elliott's getting ready to go back out. Back here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, final practice. You see our race coverage starts Saturday 4 Eastern over on ESPN. NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship at stake. Elliott Sadler back out on track. He has run a lot of laps, 25 to be exact. But let's get more on this from Jamie Little.
Well, they continue working on it, and after the last round of changes, this is what he said on the radio.
I think I want to try the left rear spring again, or even going a little more, and then trying to do something else to help it late exit with the left rear spring. It's too tight this way, way too tight.
And they had tried some earlier changes with the track bar, and he didn't like it. He said it just got us too tight, so they're going back on those changes, as you heard there, Marty.
Yeah, he's talking about taking some left rear spring out of it to help the car rotate and turn. And then he knows that that's going to cause him maybe some problems with being a little loose off, so they're trying to figure out how would they deal with that. So tuning these cars is very complex. One thing affects so many other things that it's always a combination that you put into the setup that makes it work.
Yeah, and Elliott's always been really, really good in giving detailed descriptions of his race car and what he's looking for, what the changes did. Being a teammate at Robert Yates Racing for a number of years, it was always interesting to go test with him and sit down and debrief after practice sessions and things, because he really is in tune with his race car, what makes him so good.
Guys, while we've been watching this, updates on a few things. Mike Bliss has gone out and turned a hot lap and moved to the top of the charts at 165.9 miles an hour. Danica Patrick's moved into the number 4 position at 165.3. So it now means that, well, Regan Smith just moved into the number 2 spot at 165.95. As you see, Danica Patrick going back into the garage area. So there's some folks getting some mock qualifying runs in. And our first look at Johanna Long, and had a chance to talk with Johanna today, and she was telling me she will be back in this ride next year for 21 races. They're still trying to find more money to be able to do more races than that, but certainly has impressed a lot of people, including the 3 of us up here all season long.
Got a lot of potential, and it's good to see that she's back in the series again next year to see what she can improve on some of the bright spots we've seen this year.
Her best finish was back at Kentucky, where she came home 12th. She also finished 12th at the
I just have a lot of will to put into it, and I get into the throttle too soon. It's gonna hit the wall.
Yeah, it's a couple of problems right there. But sometimes if you can't get your car down to the corner, you're picking the throttle up too soon, then that's going to start shoving the nose before you really can get to the exit part of the corner, and that's just not going to allow you to give the throttle all that you need to carry the speed and be as fast She's back in 37th right now. But that's good information, and that's just what they'll have to go work on, see if they can make it better for her. Like Elliott Sadler struggling a little bit right there with his car. I know he's got a lot of laps on his tires. This will be a situation where he's just been on this same set of tires the entire time.
Elliott's been bumped down to the 8th position now, as several others have, as we mentioned, gone to some mock qualifying runs. See the best 5-lap average right there. Several cars have taken 10-lap averages, and guess who's number 1 there? The 3 of Austin Dillon.
Yeah, he's the top of all of the average charts. 5, 10, and 15. Only one car that has actually run 15 straight laps, and that's probably because he had that extra set of tires and he used them in a race, kind of a race mode.
But think about this: the 5-lap was 163.6, the 10-lap was 163 flat, and then it dropped down to 162.3. So that's
it's holding
pretty
up.
good range.
Speed holding up pretty good.
All right, so Elliott is back in, and as we mentioned, he has slipped down to the 8th spot as they're still trying to fine-tune that number 2 RCR Chevrolet. Austin Dillon has gone back to the top of the charts as Joey Coulter has been bumped down to the 2nd position. Austin just went 167.2, guys.
Yeah, he bumped it up
I think
almost a quarter of a
found
second.
a little bit there. I ran something different through 1 right before I come in here, and I think that probably would have been a little bit better than what I did. So I think we're pretty good. That felt better, depending on what.
Of course, Joey Coulter is going to be racing in the Truck Series next year for Kyle Busch, and Jamie Little was telling us she talked to some of the people over at RCR. They were really disappointed that they're going to lose this guy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, and he's shown it in that Truck Series, and the few times we've seen him in the Nationwide Series car, he's done really well. Continuing that here this weekend, 2nd on the board.
And there is Austin Dillon. He's got to be feeling pretty good right now, because you can see the reason why. Time winding down in this final practice session. About 10 minutes remaining. Ryan Blaney is still out there. Now, he has turned a total of 37 laps. He's 18th on the speed charts right now. There's his best lap.
Well, his strong suit's been how he improves during the race as the race runs. Probably his weakest part has been his qualifying. He's had to overcome some pretty deep starts to get good finishes.
Yeah, and I'd say the one thing that may hamper his efforts there is what we're talking about. Even though he's a rookie, can get those tires, but they don't get a lot of time to practice that, and don't take a lot of time to do that. So, but he's sure made the most of race runs and race efforts. As you can see, the red and black flags coming out, signifying that this session is over.
There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You put a period on Ryan Blaney. His average start this year, 16.5. And you can see they're working on the 6 car, getting it ready for tomorrow.
Checking the list and checking it twice.
All right, here are the top 10 in speed, starting with Austin Dillon, Joey Coulter from RCR, 1st and 2nd. Mike Bliss with a 1-lap good run. Reagan Smith, Danica Patrick 5th in a mock run. Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Trix, Brad Sweet, Elliott Sadler bumped down to 9th, and Cole Witt in the 10th spot, but they did not tape up. As we go down a little bit farther, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they had to cut it short. Are you worried at all now that you've seen everybody practice?
Nope. I think he's going to be just fine.
Okay. You're shaking your head. No worries, no stress. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will have a good night's sleep then, right, guys?
I think so.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't try to wear that belt buckle on his uniform.
Or the hat. The hat wouldn't work when he go to sleep. It might
but
be
if he uses big boots, match that gas.
All right, stay with us. We're not done yet.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Final Practice is brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to buy car insurance.
Well, back here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, we're getting ready for the final races of the season, the NASCAR Nationwide Series and, of course, the Sprint Cup Series. It takes 155 people to get this program of ours on the air each week. Our traveling group of nomads is one of those groups, of course, the Pit Studio. We thought we'd like to take you behind the scenes and show you how some of this all works. Is the pit studio over on the infield down towards turn number 1. And you know, we get all the glory because we're the faces in front of the camera, but if you remember last week, Clint Boyer is racing like crazy to get to Jeff Gordon, and our man Jake and Rob, Jake's the cameraman, and notice this, now he's keeping up with, he's carrying what, 35 pounds worth of camera, keeping the shot steady, and there they are, guys. Good work last week, and you could see that that thing is not light in any way, shape, or form. Vince?
Well, just like race teams have guys behind the scenes that help the drivers get it done, we do as well. So shout out to Jake for that. Appreciate that. Austin Dillon, fastest on the speed chart, taped up, did a mock run there for a qualifying attempt, and still with an outside shot at the championship on Saturday. How you feel about what you've got this weekend?
I don't know. It's our first time here at Homestead with a Nationwide car, and our Bass Pro Shop Chevy's been really fast. It's just a little bit spotty here and there, so I don't know what to expect tomorrow night. We're going to get together our group here and try and figure out the setup for tomorrow night, and I think we got something good for them for qualifying, and we can really burn a lap in on the bottom, just trying to work up to that upper groove and see what we can do in the race.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Austin Dillon, Marty.
All right, thank you, Vince. As Austin goes over to talk to some fans, and is that Mr. Hendrick there? Look like him a little bit. Can't tell from that angle. No, don't think so. No, just a fan. Anyway, let's take a look at the calendar. Ford EcoBoost 300 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow over on ESPN. And then, of course, on Sunday, Sprint Cup Series finale, the Ford EcoBoost 400 on ESPN, 1:30 Eastern time. And so we get ready to go. What do you expect? Who wins this championship tomorrow in the Nationwide?
I think Ricky Stenhouse is able to hold on.
Yeah, I do too, but I think it could get kind of exciting at times.
We'll find out. We'll definitely find out. Coming up next, we've got NASCAR Now. It's going to be presented by Wrangler. For all of us here on our ESPN crew covering the Nationwide Series, Marty Reed, thanks so much for joining us. Till we meet again, right now, we're going to send it to Mike Massaro and Ricky Craven.